Hello students, welcome to class. Today we're going to be talking about section 2 of chapter 5. Today's lesson is going to talk about rational numbers. So first we need to talk about some vocabulary. I had this bullseye image here for you so you can get a good picture of what these terms mean. Later on in the chapter we're going to be categorizing different numbers and identifying what types of numbers they are. So our first type of number today is natural numbers. It includes your non-negative numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next we have whole numbers, and natural numbers is the smallest, most limited type of number. Next we have whole numbers, and whole numbers are your positive counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Next on the list we have integers, and integers are positive or negative numbers, so it's a little bit more broad. And then our final numbers that we're going to be talking mostly about today are your rational numbers. And rational numbers are any types of numbers that can be written as a fraction. And I'm going to have you pause the video for a second so you can write down the number or the terms and their definitions. If you need your book to help you, you can. So go ahead and write down those 4 definitions: natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. And you could even use the diagram to help you keep track of these in your notes. Alright, one of the skills you're going to need to know today is writing a rational number as a fraction. A rational number, as we learned a second ago, is any number that can be written as a fraction. So we're going to learn how to write these rational numbers as fractions. Examples that you will be working with today are things like 0.75, 75 hundredths, negative 0.0333, 28, and 1 1/4. So here's the example problem. It asks you to write 5 2/3 as a fraction. Now, we know Smartboard isn't the best at doing fractions, so I'll rewrite it here. This is 5 2/3, a mixed number. So there you go. We want you to write it as a mixed number so that it is in a fraction form, and so we can call it a rational number. We talked about yesterday how to do this. You take 5, your whole big number, multiply it by the denominator. So 5 times 3 is 15. Add it to your numerator, which is 2. So 15 plus 2 is 17. So 5 2/3 written as a fraction is 17/3. And that's all you have to do for that part of the chapter. The next skill you're going to be asked to do is to write a terminating decimal as a fraction. Now, a terminating decimal is one that ends. It doesn't repeat on forever and ever and ever, and it doesn't continue on forever and ever. So a number like 0.48, 48 hundredths, is an example of a terminating decimal. It has a definite ending place. If we are going to write 48 hundredths as a fraction, your first step is to figure out how many places you have. We have tenths, a 4 in the tenths place, and an 8 in the hundredths place. So what we're going to do with that information is we're going to use this word hundredths, and we're going to make a fraction with a denominator of 100 because we have a number in the hundredths place. So write your fraction bar, put the number 100 beneath it, and then you write your decimal, 48, on top. 48 hundredths just means 48 out of 100. So 48 hundredths, or 48 divided by 100, they all mean the same thing. So we write the number over its place value. We wrote 48 on top of 100. Your third and final step is to simplify. So if we were to write 48 hundredths as a fraction, you would end up with 12 45ths. Okay, this gets a little bit trickier if you're talking about a repeating decimal. If you have the decimal 0.88888888 repeating, and we wanted to write it as a fraction, there's a couple steps you need to follow. This is a surefire way to get you to a fraction. So what you need to do is take your number, 0.88888, or 0.8 repeating, and multiply it by 100. So we have 0.8 repeating times 100, and if you do that, you get 88.8 repeating. The next step is to subtract your original decimal from your answer. So I have 88.8 repeating minus 0.8 repeating. This leaves us with 88. The next step is that you need to write your answer in a fraction over 99. So when we had a terminating decimal, we wrote it over 100, but for this one, we're going to do it over 99. So we have 88 divided by 99, or 88/99. Your fourth step is to simplify, so we get 8/9. So what you can do from this point is to check it in your calculator. I'm going to do that right now. 8 divided by 9 equals 0.88888, repeating. So we know we have the correct answer. All right, our final topic for today is classifying these rational numbers. And this is again why we talked about those definitions at the beginning of the chapter. I went ahead and deleted the natural numbers from our bullseye for this portion of the activity. We're just going to worry about whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. So let's take this number -6. Which categories does -6 fall under? -6 is a negative number, so it's not a whole number. It's a -1. Remember, whole numbers are your counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So -6 falls into two categories. It's a rational number and it's an integer. So if we were going to classify -6, we would say that -6 is a rational number and an integer. Our next number is 2 4/5. This number can be transferred into a fraction. Right now it's a mixed number, but we can convert it into a fraction. In fact, if you did that, you would end up with 14/5. 14/5 is a fraction, and we know that any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. So 2 4/5 is a rational number. It isn't an integer or a whole number, though. And this last number here is really tricky. It doesn't fall into any of these categories. Rational number is a number that could be written into a fraction, and this number cannot be written into a fraction. It's not a repeating decimal. If you'll notice, there's a pattern here, but it's not a repeating pattern. It's not the same number, the same couple of numbers that repeat over and over again. So it's not a repeating decimal, so it can't be written as a fraction, and as a result, it is not a rational number. In Chapter 9, we're going to be talking about irrational numbers, and so this would be classified as an irrational number. All right, and for the part that I'm sure you're all excited about, you have homework. Your homework today is page 237, numbers 15 through 47 odd, and I know that sounds like a lot, but this video has only lasted 8 minutes, so I know you have plenty of time to get those done. They are odd numbers, so once you finish, you could check your answers with the back of the book. Be really careful when you're simplifying the fractions that you're doing that right, and when you have to round your decimals, be sure you're rounding correctly. If you have any questions, you can email me. I might be able to get back to you on a break. So if you have questions on your homework, email. Otherwise, I'll answer you tomorrow.